Welcome to this week's installment of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale with Don Henniger. I'm Don. Joining me, as always, my podcast partner, a man who looks mighty fine in a polo shirt.
Thank you.
Kevin Maxwell.
Thanks. I like to look like a golfer since I can't play, but
Yeah, you could play. I've seen you hit a shot or two.
yeah, sometimes.
But you look better than you play. That's sometimes it's all about the look, man.
It is. For me, it is.
That's what we're getting into today.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about golf, but we're going to talk about how we look when we play golf and how we can look a lot cooler when we talk to the guy who's our guest today. And that's Jason Richardson. He's the founder of Bad Birdie Golf. It's a Scottsdale company known for its vibrant and unique golf apparel, particularly polo shirts and some other stuff. The company breaks the traditional mold of golf attire by offering bold designs on polo shirts that stand out on the golf course. It's very cool. Welcome, Jason. Glad you're with us.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Jason, love your story. I know that you grew up in Scottsdale, right?
I did.
Launched Bad Birdie from his Los Angeles home in 2017. We'll talk about how we got there in a minute. It took off and he moved to Arizona in 2020 for its golf culture and its pro-new business environment, which is why a lot of people move here, man, for sure. Yep. About the same time, Bad Birdie came onto the scene. It's a new generation of golfers who start to emerge. The timing for Jason's out of the box line of contemporary apparel balanced sort of the functionality with the personality and a touch of what you call approachable irreverence.
Yeah.
Turned out to be pretty ideal, huh? What I love, though, Jason's introduction to golf was when he was 12 years old, and he was a caddy at the Forest Highlands Golf Club in Flagstaff, which is pretty cool. Jason, take it from there, man. Talk about your background and how you came to create Bad Birdie.
Yeah, I think a good spot to start, probably just my story around golf. So I was introduced to golf at 12 years old, working for the junior caddy program at Forest Highlands, which is up in northern Arizona. My family would go up there in the summers. And I was introduced to a golf that was very proper. So it was an exclusive country club.
Like British golf.
Yeah, you got to tuck your shirt in.
No cell phones, probably.
No cell phones. I don't even know if they don't even really have cell phones back. Very small. True. It's a different era.
Yeah.
But I went to this caddy program and you had to be so proper. And I remember you had to hold the flag at a 90-degree angle. You had to do all these things that was so strict. And I just thought that's what golf was. And I remember a very specific time where I moved while a member was putting and he yelled at me.
Really?
And I was literally 20 feet behind him. And so the golf world that I knew was very particular, very proper. And I had free play at that course, but I didn't even own golf clubs. No one in my family played golf. I never grew up with it and I never watched it, but it was just a job, strictly a job. And I would go caddy and loop for these guys and make some cash. And it was something that kept me busy in my summer job. As I started to caddy more, guys would start asking me to read putts and do these things that I had no idea how to do, but I just kind of faked it till I made it. And so I was like, I need to get into golf. And I went with my mom to go buy at a Roger Dunn store, which is a Vans golf shop here. And I put $100 in and we split a pair of golf clubs and I went and saved my own money and just went to the driving range up at Cracker Jacks when it used to be a thing.
Oh, I remember that.
And I would just hit balls and that was kind of my intro to golf, and I would save up and I remember the first golf course I played was Coronado Golf Course here in Scottsdale.
Sure, yeah.
And it was the cheapest golf course I could play, and I just duffed balls down and to try to figure it out when I was 12, 13 years old, and just kind of kept playing it as a hobby. And so random in high school. So I did caddying for a couple summers, and then I got into my golf story continues because what happened is I was working at Office Max, my first full-time job, actual job. And this guy walks up to me at the cashier and says, "Hey, how much money are you making an hour?" I'm like, $6.50. He's like, "I'll pay you $7 an hour to come work for my eBay golf shaft business." Oh. So I ended up working for this guy, Paul Monaco, who I still keep in touch with, and he ran a golf shaft business on eBay. So I found myself once again in the golf space. I worked there all during high school. My friends worked with me there, and I worked there through college in the summers a little bit too. So I kind of had this whole surrounding of golf, and graduated college, and I had played a little bit more recreational golf and fell into this whole career of not golf related. Do you guys want to kind of go there, or where do you kind of want to take it? I guess that's kind of my introduction to golf, at least.
I think that was pretty cool. Where'd you go to high school?
Horizon.
So that's cool. And where'd you go to college?
Azusa Pacific.
That's pretty cool. That's a good story there too, right? Yeah. So that took you to California.
Yeah, that took me to California.
And then you go from California, you got into your career over there in the TV producing business, commercial business.
Yeah, so I got a degree in marketing. I actually wanted to get out of Arizona. I loved it growing up, but I was like, I want to try something new, go explore. And went over to California and found myself getting a marketing degree and ended up working as a line producer doing TV commercials. And that's a quick story, but you just kind of fake it till you make it there once again. And kind of work your way up in the industry and got to do some really cool projects and learned a lot about content creation, learning from people that were spending a lot of money with huge crews and huge actors and all athletes and all these things, and kind of got to see behind the scenes how those products are made. And with that, being a line producer, as you grow in your career, you actually become a freelance. Most people are freelance. And so I would take job to job and started playing more golf in between there and started to play more and more golf. And I actually played a golf course, shout out to Shoal Canyon. If anyone's been to LA, it's between Pasadena and Glendale up in the mountains. And there was no dress code there. It wasn't the Forest Highlands golf that I knew. And me and all my friends that played there, and that all of the guys that I saw playing there, it was like a different breed of golf where it was more about just having a good time. And it was less about following certain rules. We still respect the game. We're still playing golf. We're still being respectful and whatnot, but it just, this culture around it was a little bit more open. And there was this golf tournament, like the story of how I got the idea for Bad Birdie. There was this golf tournament that I got invited to, and I was like, man, I'm going to come back to Scottsdale. It's supposed to be a nicer course. I'm going to go buy a golf polo. And I went into a golf shop, and I came out with a red Nike Tiger polo. And I was like, man, I love Tiger, but this is like a little bit boring to me. I want to wear something different than this golf tournament. And there was nothing out there. And I remember I played in this golf tournament, and the other guys there was a bunch of young guys, and they started saying things like, I'm going to hit this off the deck, or they were going to saying like things that I never heard this. Like I was kind of like a fringe edge. I was not super in the golf culture. I was kind of on the edge, and I was like, man, these guys are different golf than Forest Highlands. It's different than what I thought it was. And at the same time, I'd started to follow on social media these guys that were displaying golf in a different way than I thought it was. So in my own self-discovery of what golf could be, popped up this idea, well, why don't I make a golf shirt that I could have worn to this tournament? And so that's where the idea for Bad Birdie came.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. How about the name?
The name is like the least exciting part of the story, other than it's pretty, I thought it was like catchy, and I don't really know what it meant at the time, but the story goes, I had the idea for printing polos. I made the shirts, all this, and I was sitting there and I was like, I don't have a name. I don't have a logo. And I had a list of all these golf terms. And it was like, pitch, putt, blah, blah, blah. And I organized them all in alphabetical order. I'm like, I got to try something here. I'm getting stuck. I can't find a name. And so it's like bogey, birdie, chip, whatever it is. And then I started doing like alliteration where you do like, so I was like alpha, alpha ace, no, bad bogey, no, birdie, bad birdie. And I was like, man, Bad Birdie kind of just rolled off the tongue. It sounds cool. I thought about what does it mean to be bad? Not bad at golf, but bad in a way that's disruptive. It's different, looks at things in a different way. We've never tried to be a brand that's like, we go and embrace playing bad golf. It's like bad is almost like
a bad man. That's what it is.
Just something different, looking at a different way. And a birdie can never be bad. So it's a way for us, like, it's just a different perspective on it. And that was it. I can go into I don't know any questions. I'll pause there. Yeah.
No, we'll talk about, so you got this idea, you wanted to start making shirts. How'd you create a business? Talk about how you got to the business model.
Yeah. So the business was really the business is kind of like your hustle, keep getting told a million no's till you get a yes. And, so I had the idea. There was a Thanksgiving, day after Thanksgiving tournament. The site went live May 1st, the following, so it's what, 5.5 months. So had this idea, and I had one friend who had started an apparel company the year before, and by apparel company, it was like him and a couple of buddies tried it. Like a lot of people in LA want to start different things. Yeah. A lot of people start different things. I was like, hey man, I have this idea. Like, how do I start? And he's like, kind of gave me the breakdown of how he sourced and found things. And so I knew I had to find like a fabric. I knew I had to find someone to do like cutting the actual fabric and then stitching it together. And so ended up kind of piecing my way around LA, being in a great city to do production. I could not have done that in Arizona. I probably couldn't have done it in a lot of other cities than Los Angeles because there is a production there. So everything was made in LA at the beginning. I found this really small shop where these two ladies they were starting their own little cut and sew business, and I would give them the fabric. I found someone that printed, it's called sublimation, where you print with ink on white fabric to get the prints. And I'd order buttons on like buttons.com, and I ordered the labels on labels.com, something like that. And just kind of figured out how to make these shirts with no proper, we use things in the industry called like tech packs, or, bombs that explain every single thing about the product. And I had none of that. It was like, hey, here's a polo I like. Can you take the collar from this polo, match it with this one, and just kind of make it work? And it was just kind of figuring it out. The first polos I made, the neck collar, like the lining was so thick. I just I would never use that. It was just, it's like a fun, like trial and error, and you figure it out and figured out how to make I picked 10 prints. I made 10 units of each. And May 1st, 2017, I launched it. I did a Hewlett Packard commercial that day. My call time was 5 a.m. And I put the site live at like 3:30 in the morning, set it. I and then I set it live, and then I did a social media post and texted some friends, and that was kind of how it launched.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool. You know, I should have done this beginning, because for any of our audience members who are listening to this and are not familiar with the brand, and they're not maybe golf apparel people, let me just give you a little bit. My personal background is that right now, the reason I'm so excited to have you on, I'm going to fanboy out just a little bit here, because right now, Bad Birdie is the brand to have, right? All my friends are rocking the Bad Birdie gear. Whenever we see somebody rocking one of your shirts, we're always like, cool shirt. And then what are you going to wear tomorrow? And I think I told you I went to a golf tournament this weekend. Yeah. I was wearing Bad Birdie all weekend long. And so were some of my friends. So it's so glad to have you on, because you guys are on the trending brand right now in the golf world. It must be really exciting for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We've had a lot of success with just looking at golf in a different way that I think, like you're saying, people just kind of jump on board with it, and they want to wear colors, they want to wear prints, they want to wear a brand that represents more than what I think golf has been looked at in a lot of ways, the culture around it. So
yeah.
Let's get back in the timeline a little bit. Yeah. So you're in LA.
Yes.
But you ended up coming over to Arizona. So you started having some success over there, and at some point there you were on Shark Tank.
Yeah. So so 2017, for the first 2 years, I still did commercials. And during that time, the business grew, and I slowly started taking less commercial jobs and started working on the business. I got married during that time and convinced my wife, who's she was dating me before I had the idea. So she's been there the whole time.
California girl.
Yeah. She's kind of no, she's a Nebraska girl, but I met her in California.
Yeah. Right.
So we got married, and I was like, hey, can I live on your salary? And can I go all in on this thing? And we did. And we took a loan out, put everything on the line to buy more inventory. And we were going to take a big shot. 2020 was going to be our year where we're we're going to we're newly married. We're young and in love. We have each other. Worst case, we're bankrupt and we'll start all over. I'm like, what else? It's young love.
Life is good.
Yeah, life is good. This is awesome. And so we did that. The lead times are so far in advance. But at the same time, I got an opportunity to go on Shark Tank. And so I went on Shark Tank. I filmed it in September 2019. So way before it aired in April 2020. So if you put yourself in my shoes, film this show, can't talk about it. Maybe they air it, maybe they don't. I took a huge inventory position, and I'm like, all right, 2020 could be our year. Let's see what happens. And then beginning of May hits, and there's this first 2 weeks in May where I was like, sales dropped 95%. I'm going to go out of business. I'm going to file bankruptcy, but I'm married. I'll be fine. And then I get an email from ABC saying, hey, we're going to air your show in 2 weeks. And I'm like, that's a good sign. Maybe that'll save me. Maybe they'll help out with something, but I don't know what's going to happen. COVID, who knows what's going to happen here. And so January, February, we had really, really triple digit or 300% growth year over year. Everything was working. The plan was working. March hit, everything dropped. And the night Shark Tank aired, I think it was April 3rd, 2020. We beat our monthly revenue goal in 3 hours from the amount of exposure. Really? So the audience, mass America saw it and was like, this is awesome. We're going to support and get behind it. So it was a business changing moment, because what it did is it basically took our product and put it in front of probably one of the biggest audiences you can see, and it worked. They bought it, they supported it, they wanted it. And I got a ton of feedback from customers on what we did. And that was this point where I was like, okay, that made up for more than enough of where we missed. And then you piggyback that with COVID came, and one of the biggest kind of resurgent, biggest moments, biggest industries that grew out of COVID was golf. Golf is everywhere now. It's you can't get a tee time anywhere. Every country club in this area has wait lists. It had this huge renaissance. And so we actually had a 1-2 punch, and we were positioned perfectly for it. And that's just luck. No one knew that was going to happen. And during that time, we're like, all right, if we're going to scale the business, we're going to grow it. Let's go to a more golf friendly area and city that's more ingrained in the culture and a better tax environment. So I love LA. But for our brand, our brand, and for like what we were doing, I was like, man, we gotta go to Scottsdale, Dallas, like Carlsbad, North County, San Diego, or maybe Florida. And my wife was like, let's go to Arizona. You grew up there. I like visiting there. And so we came out here and moved the business out here in 2020 with 2 employees and me.
Awesome. Let's back up for a second and talk about Shark Tank.
Yeah.
So if I recall, you got a big investment out of that, like a $300,000 investment.
I did.
What was the
on the show.
What was that experience like? Who was on the show, and what was it like doing that?
Yeah, so it's probably one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. Yeah. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. So in the film industry, you get everything ready, and then you got to wait your turn. So that, there's a ton of prep work that goes into it. I've rehearsed my pitch probably 100 times. I had my friends over to ask me questions. The staff that runs the show, they want to make sure you're prepared, and they'll be like, hey, pitch it to me. Let's go pitch it and prep it. You're going to go on in an hour. Like, let's run through it out here on the studio lot. So I did a lot of that. And, I went on knowing a lot, and knowing a lot about the business. And the first, I was in there for probably 45 minutes, and they cut it down to 6 or 7 minutes. And the first, I kind of walk in there, and, I kind of get my ass handed to me a little bit. Yeah. They kind of start ripping me apart and being like, who
was ripping you the most?
Just kind of everyone, like not everyone, but basically the general feedback was like, cool, man. Like you're pitching your printed polo business. Like there's nothing special about that. And the defense of that is like printed polos aren't special, but a brand is special. And so when they heard the brand, and then when they heard the revenue and the growth story, that is what made it special. Right. So like anyone can put prints on polos. And a lot of people have tried to copy what we do, but the brand is what separates us. And that's why we've grown faster than a lot of brands. There's something about that. And then when I shared all the revenue numbers, it was a really clear change in the room where they were like, oh, this guy might be like slinging out of his apartment. I'm like, no, I did $1 million last year. They're like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that kind of changed the room. And then it turned into, you should never go into wholesale. You should never go to retailers. And I did. And that's been one of our biggest growth channels. And that's how you grow a golf apparel business, is to selling to pro shops, selling to the big retailers. That's how you have to do that. Otherwise you're not going to be relevant. And so, it was a great experience. I ended up getting an offer from Mr. Wonderful and Kevin, and then I got an offer from Robert Herjavec. And I wanted to get an offer from Robert because he had the most consumer brand experience. He had some success with some other brands. And it got down to this point where he made me an offer, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to take this. But he offered me 25%. I said, hey, no, how about 20? And he goes, no. So number one lesson is just, I'm like, I'm not going to win a negotiation with a shark. Right. So I had this little kind of trick up my sleeve where I had that putting mat set up, and I said, hey, listen, Robert, I'm going to hold on one sec. If you can make this putt, I'll give you 25%. If not, you got to give me 20%. He goes, all right, deal. Let's do it. And he came up short on the putt. He had no idea. It was like the perfect moment. Like it wasn't staged. They had never seen it. There's no trickery. Like that's what happened. And so it was like this really cool moment on TV. And it was a lot about our brand. Like our brand, like we've grown because we've taken risks, and we try things in a different way. And so I don't think I had thought through how that was a smart negotiating tactic from a business side than it like after the fact, but like it was great for marketing. It was a great business tactic, putting someone out of their comfort zone, and like it made me look like positive whether it went in or not. And so, fun fact though, I didn't take the deal with Robert afterwards on the show, so not all the deals go through. And but did get a chance to like talk to him and his team. He's a great team, and that was a kind of a good moment for us. But for me, I learned really quickly after the show airs that the show aired that it's a flash in the pan. No one cares that I went on Shark Tank 3 days later, or a week later, 2 later. Mm-hmm. Some people that saw it, it's like a good exposure, but like there's brands on Shark Tank every single week. And so it was really important to me that we need to evolve beyond just being a Shark Tank brand. And I think there's a lot of good apparel there's some good consumer brands from that show that have been able to do that. And there's some that just stick to being like, we're a Shark Tank business. And that to me is not a sustainable business model.
So you were thinking about going to retail at that time, hadn't yet?
But we had a couple. We had a couple. And so I had been like, we're seeing a lot of growth. We had a really great retail or wholesale partner called Shields out of the Midwest. They just opened up here in Chandler. They're great.
Yeah.
And I love working with them. And I was like, the first order I did with them, I lost money because I just wanted to get in the door, and I didn't have the scale to hit the margin. But they were like, that's horrible. You shouldn't do that. You're going to have to pay credit terms. And I'm like, I disagree. So we had started to grow it. And we started getting pro shops reaching out, and we leaned into that and really grew that business.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. 2020 was insane. People were out of stock. We had a ton of stock. We opened 500 to 1,000 accounts that year. It was insane.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was a lot. We had a great sales team.
How many do we have on your team now?
So
How many employees in
in our office now, we got about 36, 37 people.
Great growth.
Yeah.
And you got a retail store up in the Kierland Commons, right?
We have a retail store, and we actually have 2 other doors. So we have Kierland here. That's our kind of like not our flagship store, but it's our first store we opened. We have a Newport Beach and then a Houston pop up.
Well, I hear the store. I've not been to your store. I'll come up and see it, but I heard it's pretty cool. It's a place to kind of hang out, watch some TV.
Yeah. We got the way that I wanted to build it was like a clubhouse theme. Like you can go in, they'll offer you a beer. There's always golf on the TV. There's some couches to hang out. Like to me, it's a spot where you can go check out the product. But if you just want to go watch golf, like the idea behind it, it's like a golfer's home away from home, and it's a very early small concept of that. But I think it can continue to grow as we grow our retail doors.
Kevin, we're going.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, got to get out. Have you been up there?
No, I've not.
Well, now that's on our to-do list now.
Yeah.
I'm definitely come up and pay
It's
a
a good
visit.
spot for it, right there next to Kierland. I mean,
Get a shirt, have a beer, watch some golf.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool. So where are you today? So in terms of your growth and kind of challenges that you're looking at in terms of as you look down the road about where you're heading?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're in a fortunate position where we've built a name for ourselves in the space, especially in this new wave of golf brands. There's probably 1,000 new golf brands out there, like literally 1,000.
Yeah.
And there's been a few that I think that've kind of broken away from the pack or been leaders. And I would humbly, hopefully say that we're one of those. And so we're in an interesting spot where brands of our size either continue to grow and scale and evolve, or they were a cool moment and flash in the pan and they die. And so I'm very aware of that. We need to continue to evolve as a brand. And we evolve through product offerings, serving our customers in ways that, customer feedback, how do we grow there? And so you've seen us evolve beyond a printed polo company the last 2 years. And so testing new products, trying new things, and we've had a lot of good learnings, a lot of wins, a lot of misses, and kind of the nature of growing the apparel business. On the other side too, it's just growing where you can shop us, right? It used to be all about e-commerce only, but a ton of people now want to go buy it at their country club. They want to buy it they want to go touch it and feel it. So opening retail doors, opening opportunities to just get in front of golfers, right? Golfers shop. I'm going on a golf trip this weekend. Like for sure, guys are going to buy something from a pro shop with the embroidery on it. Like that's like a staple.
I was in Wolf Creek 3 weeks ago, and I had brought back a bunch of new gear.
Yeah, you gotta have the Wolf Creek Flex or whatever wherever you're going. And then I think for us too, just doubling down on what our brand means in the space. Our brand is all about having a good time on the course and trying to view and rethink and reimagine what the sport can be, the culture can be around it in a way that's fun. It's it's a little bit irreverent. Don't take ourselves too seriously.
You can tell you're a content guy because you look at your online presence and all the things you do. It just really permeates that those guys are having fun. So you're really living their brand all the time. Obviously,
trying to, yeah.
I mean, it just permeates. It comes through all the time. So
thank you.
Yeah. Hey, before we get too far into this because we limited time, but we're not a business podcast show, but you've been talking about it, which is cool. But you also give back too. Right. Talk about a little about some of the charitable things that you guys are doing to give back to your community. Yeah.
So one of the things that we did last year that I'm really proud of is just partnering with First Tee and just working with an organization like we're a golf brand, helping support kids who want to go play golf.
Yep.
I didn't play golf as a kid. I'm going to have my daughters hopefully play golf if they want to. I think it's a great sport and learning and just helping all different types of people be able to play golf at a young age. But that's like we don't talk about that a ton, but that was like a cool thing we did last year. And I think one of the things I'm really excited about is supporting like these young athletes. And so last year we launched a high school program. And so we've been able to sponsor a lot of different high schools over the last year. And whether it's been state champs in Florida who are like super good players and are probably going to try to go pro to like inner city Philadelphia who like didn't have a golf club a year ago and are learning it. We're sponsoring these teams, telling stories around them. And I think, finding these stories that don't have a voice, like we can provide a voice to that and just make these kids feel special and walk in and they're decked out in Bad Birdie gear and we can be a partner for them. So
that's really cool. Speaking of pros, you have any pros that wear your apparel?
We do.
How does that work?
Yeah. So we signed, eight professionals this year is kind of our first stab at it.
Wow.
So our highest rank on the men's side is Siwoo Kim.
Okay.
So he's like top 25 on FedEx Cup points right now.
Is he wearing shirts or
he's wearing shirts. Okay. And so the way it works is you basically have like an apparel deal, a hat deal, a club deal, and then like a glove and shoe deal. So we have apparel deals. So, and it depends on the scale of the player, right? Like a Siwoo, he's selling out his hat to a sponsor, one of his Korean sponsors. So we have apparel. So he'll wear shirt, pants, any apparel minus the hat. We have a couple other players. We have a Corn Fairy who won Isaiah Salinda. He's a young gun. I think he's going to make his way on tour and do really well. And they have the major winner, Sophia Popov, German, but she's based here. And then we have Polly Mack on the female side too. So we have a stacked team, a lot of young guns who are coming up and growing.
Just to hire somebody that knows that business to kind of help do that.
Yes. So we moved one of my longtime guys, Bill, who's been on the team. He did all of our content. He moved over to do sports marketing. And so it's been a learning. He took initiative on that. And then we hired an agency locally, Sport 5, who's they're like big dogs in the space, and they kind of were our experts and helped us navigate and negotiate and figure that out. It's a great learning. I mean, it's a very once you're in, but to get into it, you got to kind of learn the space. And we still have so much learning to do and so much room for opportunity. We're still in the first inning.
Yeah.
Top of the first.
Well, what are some of these? So we know about shirts. What kind of other products do you have?
Yeah. So, tops and bottoms, and you can expand. So tops, polos, on and off course, t-shirts, quarter zips. This fall we have rainwear, cold weather gear. We have stuff in the works with cooling fabric for next summer and the heat and keeping you cool. So very much on course, you should be able to wear us. You should be able to wear headwear, tops to bottoms, basically anything but a belt and underwear and shoes.
Yeah.
And then women's too. We got, tops, bottoms, skirts. Our skirts are crushing it right now. They're sold out, doing a really good job. Our team did a good job on those. And really anything that you can wear on the course. But we also have this stuff you can wear hybrid. You can wear it to the range. You can wear it to work, just t-shirts and all that kind of stuff we're expanding into. Fleece and hoodies in the fall. So, yeah.
So where do you see Bad Birdie in the next, say, 5 years? What do you see when you look down the road?
Yeah, 5 years. I mean, I think we're still in the first quarter in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
There's so many levers that we haven't pulled that I think we can pull. And, I would like us to see, I would like to expand globally as a brand and just see how we can do that. But I want to do it right. I don't want to just rush into it. I want to continue to serve our customers off course and explore what that means and also innovate on course. It's a technical sport, right? And you're dealing with weather and conditions, and there's always got to be innovation there. I want people to come shop us for that. And then I just want people to experience the brand in person, ways that you can go to events and retail stores and see us and just, I think we do a really good job making products and being able to wear the brand, but to interact with the brand is a different thing. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for us to be able to go do that.
So you play golf too, obviously.
I do.
Too. Yeah.
How's your game these days?
Yeah.
It's trending down.
Okay. Yeah.
Too much work.
The more I work, yeah. But I just started getting lessons up at McCormick, and I feel like I'm getting a little bit more dialed. I never had a lesson until about 2 months ago, an actual formalized lesson. I got to an 8 handicap, just kind of just figuring it out. And then the last year, I'm back up at a 13 right now. So I'm trying to chip away. It's just technique at this point. And so I'm going to go play golf, playing 72 this weekend on a boys trip. We're going to Palm Springs.
Palm Springs.
So
okay.
I'm going to put it to the test. These guys have been either blowing up the text chain going every single day. I'm dude, I haven't gone 0 times, and I've been up at 4 a.m. So good luck. I'm going to have a weekend or I'll go low. I don't know.
Right.
Hey, sometimes when you haven't played for a while,
I know that's actually these guys are taking it too seriously. I'm dude, if I show up and no pressure, have a couple beers, I'll be great.
Yeah. Yeah. A little swing juice.
Yeah.
That all works, man. Jason, what a great story, man. Glad to have you on today. Kevin, I'm glad you're wearing the shirts. I got to go up to the store and find some of the apparel myself now. So
as my wife likes to call them, dirty chickens.
Dirty chickens.
I'm it's Bad Birdie. She's you wearing that dirty chicken shirt again?
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. Jason, thanks for your time, man. Thanks for making us all look good on the golf course.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool for sure. And thanks to all of our listeners. We'll see you next week for our latest edition of Today and Tomorrow in Scottsdale.